Qué nasty. Servilletas en el suelo. Uy, no sé qué, no sé cuánto. Okay, are you translating for
I'm
me?
trying. I gotta translate anger into kindness. Madre mía. Es que yo creo que nuestro, ¿cómo dices? Audiencia.
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 Sí.
Vale. Quiere abrir un melón.
¿Ellos o nosotros?
Ellos.
Ah.
Porque.
Bueno, yo en realidad creo que nuestra audiencia, no nuestra audiencia, pero en general los españoles están muy enfadados con algunos estadounidenses.
Sí, yo sé, y un poco inglés. The video because this video is brought to us by a viewer that wanted us to review a video. I can't
Sí.
remember the name of it, but.
Miki Navajas.
Miki Navajas.
Miki Navajas. Tenemos un espectador que se llama Miki Navajas y nos ha mandado un mensaje por Instagram diciéndonos, oye, me gustaría saber qué pensáis sobre este fenómeno. Y es un vídeo de un chico mexicano que habla que el nuevo sueño americano, the new American dream, is to leave America. So, with this being said, we have our own thought process. We have talked about this extensively.
It has been a conversation, and we have difference of opinions in these things,
Yes.
but go ahead.
I personally believe that it's because of the motivation that they have of pursuing a higher lifestyle outside of their country.
What do you
Because now they can go to countries that have a lower cost of living. They're making American dollars and they're living like kings. So again, the obsession of going after the money, the Tío Sam.
I don't think it's. Wow.
Wow.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's necessarily that we are going after money because supposedly we make more money in the U.S., right?
Well, yeah, but these people, and I'm saying these people, I'm generalizing, okay? But a lot of them are living the U.S. with American salaries
Right.
to live in countries where not near is not even half of that.
Right, but we with the salaries we make, we can't even live in our own country.
Okay, so that gives you the right to come to other countries and bring the problem with you?
It's not that we're trying to bring the problem, it's the fact that we're trying to get somewhere where we can actually afford the cost of living.
So what would happen if you, let's say, like you, for example, right? You're an American, you live in Spain, and you live with a Spanish salary.
Yeah.
Would that be so hard?
To live with a Spanish salary?
Yeah.
No.
You make...
As long as I know I can still be alive and suffice my living, no, not at all.
Okay, but that's not the mentality of a lot of Americans. And there is like a huge discussion in TikTok because Americans and other foreigners that come with high salaries are impacting the living standards and the cost of living for locals.
Okay, see, there's some levels to this that I still don't necessarily understand. So
Okay.
I want you to break it down to me, like, because I've seen the stuff about like rent. I've seen the things about like, how the rent prices go up, and we've experienced that. And when we
So
were
what we experience, because I
like
think
being an immigrant,
Yes.
and moving to different countries or whatnot. Like when we lived in Serbia, when we first got there, I believe our apartment in Vratka was like 400 euros.
yeah, in the city center.
In the city center. And after that, when we left and we moved back because we had to take care of our car and the dog and everything, that same apartment was like 1,500 euros now.
Yes. So we're talking that in a matter from 2020, COVID time, 2021 to 2023, prices increased from 400 euros in the city center in Belgrade to over 1,200 euros.
And so that's the issue that's happening here. Now, I'm going to say this, and I know this might not be the right way. I think there's blame on both sides. Like for us, it's you want to do the right thing and, contribute to the economy, contribute to the businesses there, contribute to where you were living. If I like me moving in Spain.
Sí, pero there is people that have that mentality, and those are the people that I welcome with open arms. The people that want to come and help, contribute to the community, adapt to the language, to the culture, to understand like your neighbors are important, like all these kind of things. Those absolutely, like the more the merrier. But the people that just think, I make $6,000 a month in the U.S. and I come to Spain and I rent an apartment for 2,000 euros, the point that you are paying those 2,000 euros is not that you can afford it and, good for you. No, it's that everything around that apartment now is going to increase their prices. And when you leave, that owner is going to want to rent that apartment for 2,000 or more. And we don't even make 2,000 a month.
See, I understand that. And here's my thing. I'm with you that the people that come here and don't want to learn the language, don't want to be a part of society here, you shouldn't bother coming if that's the case. I don't think you can't go and be American somewhere else.
Yeah, like for example, the Americans that I have seen on Rio
I don't know
saying,
why she keep cutting me off because she has some feelings about this one.
because they go to like a typical Spanish bar and they go, oh, qué nasty, servilletas en el suelo, uy, no sé qué, no sé cuánto. Okay, I can say that maybe having napkins on the floor is the most hygienic thing in the world. But there was a time where we even had like the cascara of the nuts and like the heads of the shrimps on the floor and
The
things
heads
like
of the
that.
shrimps?
Yeah, there were bars where like whatever you wouldn't eat, you would throw in the floor, and then people would come and clean
question
it.
about the shrimps. Una pregunta. Porque cuando gambas, la cabeza de gambas, no,
La
no, no,
chupas y la
no, no,
tiras.
no, 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 no tienes un plato?
Pues si no tienes, iba al suelo.
Entonces, ellas están así.
I'm just giving an example that there is a lot of things that are local and traditional to us, and nobody wants to hear somebody come in and, one thing is, and it's not because es mi marido y lo estoy defendiendo, no. Pero I can understand that you, for example, don't understand something and it puzzles you and you're like, seriously, you eat at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, your lunch? Like that doesn't make sense. But from there to, oh my God, Spanish don't know how to eat. They eat so late. They're so nasty because they wouldn't serve me food at noon and blah. Like that, I just want to slap people.
Okay, two things with that. We'll come back to the shrimps on the heads on the floor because
You're still that.
yeah, I'm still on now. Like shrimps heads on the floor.
I actually miss that. It was an environment. It was like everything now is so pijo and so postureo and so I miss the authentic, like that's why I love to go to small towns because then you go and you really have that bar de toda la vida.
See, here's my thing. Like there's obviously gonna be things I don't understand because I didn't grow up with it. This is a new culture for me, new lifestyle. But at the same time, that doesn't make that I shouldn't come in with the perception that my lifestyle is the best way or the right way.
Yeah, because obviously it's not working out in the U.S. You're leaving that country for a reason. So why you want to bring your things to another country?
And I think that's the issue, though. Like, I think a lot of Americans, and I was guilty of that when we were traveling for a while. It took me a while to learn the fact that...
It took you 6 months.
Yeah.
And when you had that realization, you almost like hit yourself against a wall.
Yes. But I think people need to kind of adjust to that. I think there is an adjustment period for everyone. And don't get me wrong, there's some that do not want to adjust to that.
So explain a little bit, what was that realization?
Because when we were traveling... all the time I'm thinking, oh, why do they do it this way? This way is so much better. Why aren't they doing it like this? And that's just the way that way I grew up. And so my understanding of what works in the US doesn't work in another country, and it doesn't have to work in another country, nor should I expect it to work the way of my country.
Exactly.
And it took me 6 months to realize that. And then after that, I started accepting things much more easier. Yeah. Obviously, there's things I still don't understand, but I think you still have to go through that process of being open to the culture to see why things work the way they work.
Yeah.
I still will never understand the shrimp's heads on the floor. I'm still stuck on that. But that doesn't mean I need to disrespect it or undervalue it.
Exactly.
So back to your point about how the rent thing is about how the rent is going up, I think that's a problem on both sides. I think when foreigners come here, I know you don't agree with me on this, but when foreigners come here, no, we should be held to a certain standard. Plain and simple. There should be a certain standard we be held to of how much we need to, in a sense, contribute towards the economy and how we should be handled in a sense. And I know that sounds very bad, but there should be a process that we go through. But at the same time, I think the government should have a role in that and saying, you can't go and raise your rent price to extraordinary processes and make that okay.
I agree that rent prices need to be controlled for everybody, for locals and for international people that comes, whether they immigrate. By the way, the word expat, I don't like that. We're all immigrants. When you move to a different country, it's an immigrant, period. I get serious. I am very passionate about this. But anyway, yes, the government needs to put a limitation on what those rent prices and the rent increases and who owns these rentals. Like there is people that have like 300 apartments. Like that's one point. And adding to that, when I was in the US, I first went with a working visa. And then from the working visa, I transferred into a resident permit, right? as a working visa, I pay more taxes than an American citizen.
Yes.
And I think this is a key element that we're missing in this country. I know a lot of people complain about the taxes that we pay and everything, but my problem is that a lot of foreigners, because they come with a digital nomad visa, and because they come with the Beckham law and pitos y flautas, at the end, they don't pay the taxes, but they use the services. And I think those people need to pay even more taxes, and this will deter a lot of Americans and a lot of people that come with no social conscience, I'm sorry, but that's how it is, and just abuse the system.
Laying the law right here.
Now, there is one of our viewers that left a comment the other day saying that the reason why our universal healthcare is overwhelmed is because of the amount of Americans that come and use the system. I don't think that that's the case. I don't see a lot of Americans going to hospitals and things. I mean, I'm not in every hospital in Spain, so... but I do think that they need to pay more taxes. And I used to pay more taxes in the U.S. as a working visa because, you have to pay for, thank you for letting me work here. It's the same thing.
We always try to be more, what's the word, educated about where we travel to and what we're kind of contributing. Because like you said in the beginning, why am I going to bring the problems I'm having into the U.S. to another country? And by me...
Now, you're leaving the U.S., I'm sorry, clarifying. You live in the U.S. because you can't afford life here, but then you're going to bring that problem so locals cannot live in their own country while you live like a king or a queen.
Don't we all want to be immigrants? Don't we all want to travel to places and live somewhere?
So this is the other thing, that you guys in the U.S., you have never left your country. So now there is like a wave of everything is greener on the other side. Okay, I shut up, go ahead. And I think this is tricky part, and most Spaniards don't know this. But American passport holders, the citizens of the United States of America, have to pay taxes even if they don't work in the U.S. or for a U.S. company, and even if they don't live in the U.S. Like, no matter what, they have to pay taxes there. And believe me, taxes in the U.S. is not as cheap as most people think, that they think, oh, in the U.S. you barely pay taxes. No, you do pay.
No, that's the top 1%.
Yeah, exactly. So... I get it that Americans have to pay taxes there, and then I'm saying that they should pay more taxes in the country that they go, whether it's Spain, Portugal, Costa Rica, Mexico, me da igual. But I think it's a way of deterring. Like, if you want to take advantage of having a better life, then you have to pay for it.
I don't think the idea should be to deter. I think the idea should be more to educate and bring better types of foreigners, like better types of Americans that are coming.
Well, that's what I mean about the term.
Yeah.
But also it contributes to our social system, because we have a strong social system. The reason why we have bajas and why we have, all these...
Bajas, altas, y ¿qué más?
All these working rights and, the unemployment, like all health insurance, oh my God, like the biggest right,
we
right?
We don't have... A lot of the resources that you guys have here in Spain, we don't have in the U.S.
Yet you pay tons of taxes too.
But we pay tons of taxes. And even, out here, I'm still paying taxes to the U.S. until I can get rid of my citizenship. That's also going to cost me another $3,000. But anywho, I think at the end of the day, it's just that the type of Americans that are coming is the thing that you might want to adjust. And I think those regulations will help adjust it, not deter it. So negative. But granted, I think it should be a rule of law. Even if you're coming here as a time frame, you should be at least partaking in learning the language. You should be partaking. And I know a lot of Americans tend to stay with their own community or group.
Oh, that's the other thing. Expats group. I just can't. Like, I understand. Listen, when I was in the U.S., I had my group of Spanish friends. And I love getting together with them. We love getting together for paella. We went out partying at night. Like, it was a really nice group of Spaniards. But that didn't mean that we didn't socialize with other people. We all spoke English. We all had our other people from other countries or other backgrounds, friends. And that's what you have to do. We're not saying don't make friends with other Americans. However, you don't have any American friends in Spain.
I do not.
But, you have to, get yourself into the culture, get to know your neighbors, because one of the things that I saw in this one of the things that I saw in this video from this guy from the American Dream guy is that he was saying that Americans are complaining because they don't trust their neighbors. Well, this is why you don't trust your neighbors in the U.S. because
that's the mentality we have.
Pero te la estás trayendo aquí. No puedes, because we are still a society, even though Madrid, Barcelona, big cities are losing this, but we are a society where we know our neighbors. Especially like we have animals, we know all the neighbors that have animals.
For the
We
U.S., that
build
depends.
rapport.
It depends on the state you're in, really. Like in New York, you know your neighbor. You have no choice.
Well, you
but
have
to know
no
your
choice
neighbor.
because you're actually living together. Apartments are this big.
Okay.
You're cooking and the neighbor is eating from the smells.
This is the reason why I don't necessarily consider myself a proud American. I consider myself a proud New Yorker. Like I told you, I'm a New Yorker first, American. I'm a New Yorker. And us New Yorkers, we're like the show Tom and Jerry. Where we fight and bicker among each other all day, every day.
Yeah, but when it comes to all get
But
together and like
when
participate
an outside
and
source comes in to try to bully the other, we get together and we take care of business.
Yeah.
Now, some days Jerry wins, some days Tom wins, and that's how we live our life. So that's why I'm a proud New Yorker. And because of that, I feel like you have to know your neighbor. You have to be in the mix of your culture because that's what makes New York, New York. And so for me to understand what makes Madrid, Madrid, Sevilla, Sevilla, Vigo, Vigo, and all these different places, todos lugares en España, yo necesito aprender que ¿cómo dices neighbors?
Vecinos.
¿Vecinos?
Conocer a tus vecinos.
Sí, entonces es más importante, ¿no?
Claro que es más
Vale,
importante.
entonces, americanos que...
Estadounidenses.
Estadounidenses.
Muy bien.
Cuando viene a España, entonces aprender idioma, a tus vecinos.
Sí, conoce a tus vecinos.
Sí, y
Y participa en las costumbres. Si ves que hay gente en la calle, ve a ver qué pasa. Porque a lo mejor es una fiesta y te la estás perdiendo.
Pero puede un poco nerviosa.
Aquí no hay lugar
Sí,
para ponerse nervioso. Aquí tienes que salir.
Puede difícil, ¿vale? Para mí, sí.
Porque eres un tímido. You're shy.
Sí, es verdad.
Pues no seas shy.
Sí, también. It can be a little difficult because, like, I'm happy I think what you're in and what you realize is not as bad as you think because a lot of the mentality that we come from the U.S. is that there's always people with ulterior motives, always people that we can't trust. We don't know if we're welcome in this group or so on, but I've never felt unwelcome. It's just, it's only my own, and this is a message to Americans. You can't come here being shy. I think that's my biggest...
or having your own...
No, I'm going to say shy because everything that you guys do, you do it with confidence.
Oh, sí, también.
That's a big thing. That's how you get...
And we have shy people here. Come on, we're not like...
No. But you have shy people in different things. But when you speak with confidence. You got to speak from your chest and so everyone hears you. Yeah. When you get into these groups, you have confidence going into these groups. You have confidence being into something. Yeah. Whereas we're told to shut the fuck up. And not cause any trouble. So that's kind of the reason why when we go somewhere new, especially if we don't know the language, we're a little bit more reserved into, okay, is this okay? Is this not okay? Is this something I can do?
I mean, it's good to be cautious and don't cause a scene.
But the problem is because we're cautious, the ones that aren't cautious are the ones causing problems, or ones that's the loudspeakers, disrespectful, don't care about their environment, so they don't mind disrupting things.
Yeah. So my other message to Americans is stop going to McDonald's and Starbucks when you go to a different country. You had that growing up, all you wanted. Try local stuff
Maybe we
places.
just want a taste of home. Okay.
Te lo haces en casa. ¿Qué quieres que te diga? But if you're going to spend money in contribute to the area that you are. And I'm talking about Spain, Croatia, Greece. Like, this is happening all over Mexico, Costa Rica, every country. Like.
So I think, let me make sure I get the gist of what you're saying. The gist of what she's saying is...
Are you translating for me?
I'm trying. I got to translate anger into kindness. Is the gist of what you're saying that when a foreigner comes, they have to contribute to the economy. If you're going to live here, contribute to the economy, adapt, be a part of society.
Yes,
and it's fine to have your own separate
and don't avoid paying taxes because I see a lot of Americans now tricks to not pay taxes in Spain. I'm like,
really?
Yes, and that, I'm not going to say, we don't need to go and throw hate to anybody, but that content creator got a lot of hate already from people. It's not okay. Like, don't I don't care if you're trying to run a business or anything. Obviously, we all have to look for our pockets and things like that. But you're not in that country where it's what is the expression? One for one man, one to
All
one.
for one?
No, like you go to for yourself, like whoever is the strongest.
Oh, survival of the fittest?
I don't know. Anywho, like this is not a individual solo society. This is
Right.
not like Spain is not like that, and many countries in the Mediterranean are not like that. So integrate, pay your taxes, and now I'm gonna say a message for Spaniards.
Oh, okay. Who?
Mi mensaje para todos nosotros. Una de las cosas que nos ha caracterizado en España de siempre es lo acogedores que somos. Entonces, no porque haya X número de estadounidenses que vengan y hagan destrozos, todos los estadounidenses van a hacer destrozos. Sigamos siendo acogedores, pongamos los puntos sobre las IES y expresémonos como nos queremos expresar sin echar hate ni nada de eso, que al final lo que nos hace únicos es nuestro carácter familiar y tal, así que no lo perdamos. Chimpún.
Do we have a explain it to me?
And now explain it to me. I know we already said this, but it is really important that we like drill this refrain to all of y'all
Okay.
so you can like ingrain it in your blood and live by it. It's the translation of when in Rome, do as Romans.
What was it again?
Allá donde fueres,
Allá donde fueres,
haz lo que vieres.
haz lo que vieres.
So, when in Rome, do as Romans. Lo que veas, lo haces. Chimpún.
Chimpún.
Tararán.
Vale.